From behind civilian lines, I'm Bobby Stegall, and this is the Blue Falcon Podcast. All right, guys, thank you very much for listening to the Blue Falcon Podcast. I'm Bobby Stegall. Sitting across from me today is a friend of mine, new friend of mine, Josh West.
Hello.
So, Josh, you have come on this podcast before, actually on the Journey Nashville podcast, and you started out coming on that podcast and talking with your co-owner, Mr. Jimmy
Summer.
Great guy. And once you heard that I was doing the podcast more, you wanted to come back on today and talk about a few things.
Yeah.
So, what's on your mind?
Man, that's a big question.
All right, we got plenty of time to talk about it.
Oh boy. Oh gosh. I mean, the Journey podcast we did was good. That was fun. But as I've talked more and you've listened to some of what me and my brother have done, I've realized it's just valuable to talk.
Right.
Because it helps me organize my thoughts. It's good to get feedback every now and then, but being able to just kind of talk through my story, what I've learned, looking back in hindsight and what's going on right now, it tends to be really valuable for me to just kind of talk through it and see what happens. So okay. I don't necessarily have a plan. I've got some bullet points to kind of hit on, but we'll see where it goes.
All right. Well, I like it. I guess we can go ahead and start with, you were also in the Army. What year did you join?
Marines.
You were in the Marines.
Oh,
man. This whole time I thought I liked you.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So we got
just cut everything off.
Yeah, just stop right here. All right. So you were in the Marines. What were some of the bullet points you wanted to be sure to hit on today?
Yes. Well, I mean, I was thinking about, I'll do kind of like a before, a during, and an after.
Perfect.
So before the Marines, I've got an interesting resume. I always did great in school. I was a great test taker. Like fun facts, me when I was little, my mom said like when I was like 3 years old, she could put me in a room with a couple toys and she could tell me to stay there until she got back. 2, 3, 4 hours. I would be exactly where she left me.
Okay.
She taught me to lift the toilet seat before I peed. She said I peed my pants before I would pee with the toilet seat down if I couldn't get it up.
Right.
So I don't know.
That's got to cause some really big issues when you're small and with your pants on, I feel like.
Right. Yeah. Well, for whatever reason, I was an extremely obedient child. It was like anytime an adult or anybody was upset at me, it was absolutely world shattering. And any authority in my life was the authority. Okay. Whatever they said was truth. So building off of that, I was great in school. I was a great test taker. I think I imagine my intelligence level is at least good. And so school was never an issue. I ended up going to an art school, Nashville School of the Arts. I started with, I went in for piano because my dad was a musician. He wanted his whole family to be musicians. I'm not a bad musician, but I'm not musically inclined the way the rest of my family is.
You're preaching to the choir on that one, yeah.
So I transitioned to writing. I really enjoyed writing. I still enjoy writing, but I transitioned to creative writing about 2 years in, and then I just got bored. I think I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know where I was going. I did one semester at Austin P. I think this is where I screwed myself. I did one semester at Austin P where I double majored in computer programming and math.
Okay.
With a minor in engineering.
Okay, so heavy on the science side.
Oh, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
And you've been doing art your whole life.
Yeah.
Here's some letters, here's some numbers, figure it out.
Gosh. I did 2 years of calculus. Not 2 years. I did a year of calculus in high school, and then I did a semester of college or calculus in Austin P. And I was like, why am I still doing this? I hate it. Basically, I just got so bored sitting in my dorm room playing video games that I was like, I'm just going to join the Marines because that looks more fun than what I'm doing.
Well, the commercials are pretty awesome.
They are.
And they're driving around in a Hummer, doing the recruitment.
Yeah, and me and my buddy joined together on the buddy system, which you find out when you get in means nothing.
Yeah. Should be called the Blue Falcon system.
There you go. Me and my buddy joined together, thinking this is going to be like our Batman and Robin adventure type of situation. Like we're going to be together for this whole thing, and we actually finagled it. Like I don't remember. I saw some pictures of MCRD where they got the footprints and they got the main gates you go in at first. And I remembered. I don't know how we did it, but like they get you off the bus and it's just pure chaos.
Yeah. You have no idea what's going on.
No, they're just yelling and whatever. And somehow we figured out how they were organizing the platoons within the lines to be dispersed into boot camp.
Right.
And we adjusted ourselves in the lines so that we would end up in the same platoon. Okay. Not only were we in the same platoon, we were in racks right next to each other.
Wow.
In the squad bay. Anyways, so we did. I don't want to get too far off track. I have a bad habit of rabbit trailing.
No, this is fine. Let's go down the rabbit hole.
So yeah, I mean, we did boot camp. Boot camp, in hindsight, I mean, I had fun while I was there. It was hard, but
it's just a game,
right?
Really, is all it is.
Yeah.
Can you adapt?
Yeah. When I realized that, I was like, there's no reason to get worked up about this stuff. This is gonna suck no matter what.
Right.
So just kind of go along with it and let it be what it is.
What do we say in the Army? Maybe you guys say it too. It's embrace the suck.
Yeah, embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck.
That's it.
This is gonna be it. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be awful. If you smile about it, at the end of the day, guess what? It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It has to stop eventually.
Right. Everything ends. Everything ends. And humor is a great deflector of stress.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, boot camp. We were in infantry training together, but that was where the separation started. He was a mortarman, and I was an assaultman. So we were both infantry, but and then we were both in the heavy weapons platoon, but then I was rocket launchers and C4 and that kind of stuff, and he was mortars.
Okay.
Same squad bay, but now we're starting to be separated. And then when we went to actually get deployed into our units in the fleet, is where we got, for whatever reason, they pulled all the assaultmen out of that training battalion and moved us to a different unit than where everybody else went.
Yeah. Somebody up high made the decision. It wasn't, I'm preaching in the choir on that one too. So
he did 2 deployments in Afghanistan. I did 1. He's on my mind right now because he told me he's got a free ticket to Endgame.
Uh-oh.
That I'm going to go see with him this afternoon.
So after all this time, you guys are still in contact?
We are, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we were best friends in high school. He's my longest standing friend. I moved around a lot growing up. Anyways. So before, during, after. Before, let's get into mindset a little bit. Maybe that'll set the track. So before, my mindset was very much like the authority is the authority. Mm-hmm. I obey, like they know, I don't. So my mindset was actually more military than it was when I was in the military.
Okay.
When I got into the military, and I realized the whole thing was like a game, and not only was it a game, but a lot of it was like politics and like bureaucracy, all this stuff. And like individuals have their own agendas. I saw leadership at different levels making decisions that just didn't make sense. Stuff wasn't being explained.
Things to put on a bullet point for the resume.
Yeah. There was some of that even in combat zones, which I thought was just,
it's disheartening.
Yeah. It's people. It happens everywhere. But in the Marines is where I started to learn, like, maybe I don't need to always listen to what I'm told. I started to grow up a little bit.
So under authority is when you really started connecting with the fact that maybe you shouldn't, or maybe you should start questioning things.
Right. I guess there you go. I started questioning things.
Trust but verify.
Yeah. Because like I said, like I was always a good test taker. Like I get things. I understand how things work. I feel like pretty quickly. And from the bottom, I know it's hard to see. On the lower levels, you don't have all the information, so we don't always understand why higher ups are making the decisions they're making. But
right.
And if they don't tell us, then it is what it is. Like it's just in that space of time, it's not for us to know. But naturally, we, like me and my little clique of smart, because to be an assaultman, you had to have some of the highest test scores. My test scores were great, so we were like a clan of obnoxious, smart people.
Maybe too smart for your own good kind of situation.
We weren't liked very much, and we got away with a lot because we were pretty sneaky.
You know, I don't believe that at all. Yeah.
You know, if you're quiet enough, people forget. They don't know who you are.
Out of sight,
Yeah,
out of mind.
Out of mind. Anyway, so we were always questioning things, and then it turned into basically like the mantra that we didn't ever speak it out loud, but the way we lived was like, everybody else is stupid, we have it figured out. Right. We're just riding out our contract, and this is going to be it.
It's kind of like a clan set of mind, right?
A what?
A clan. Like you have a clan set of
right.
mind.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone else has no idea. We're the best. We're the awesomest. Not sure. We have the T-shirts. Look at the T-shirt. Yeah. Infantry. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. So, we did our thing. I did my 4 years. I got out. And so moving into the afterwards mindset.
Behind civilian lines.
Here we go. I got out, and by some miracle, I got a job with my buddy working at his shop. I had just reached out, I was just looking for a job so I could go home to a job. And he hired me. Never worked on a car before in my life. He was working out of like a tin can in his grandfather-in-law's backyard.
Wow. Okay.
So we're working on cars. The first thing he has me do is pull an engine out of a car. Mind you, when I popped the hood on a car at that time, I couldn't even tell you like what part. I couldn't point to the engine.
It's somewhere in here, right? Is that somewhere in this vicinity?
Yeah, I didn't know what was what.
Right.
And so, over the next 2 years, I'm learning a lot. And it's a small business. I'm in the small business setting now. He owns it, and he's building his clientele. And we end up moving into a new shop, and I'm getting to be a part of the logistics of all this. And
can we put a time stamp on this? Like, what year is this?
Oh man, I got out of the Marines in 2011. So I started working for him 2011, 2012 time frame. I did Bible college for a semester. Started working for him during that time, part-time. So 2012, I started the mechanic shop, and then I worked for him until 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm learning kind of the ins and outs of small business just by being there. I wasn't an owner, but he kind of treated me like I was after a certain point because I'd been there so long. We had been through so much together. We had hired and fired, and he trusted me more than he had allowed himself to trust anyone else. And I have this very vivid memory of like the first time he wasn't there to kind of like hold down the fort. He wasn't a great leader. He just wasn't there. I don't know what he was doing. He wasn't there. So a customer comes in, and our usual technician's not in. I'm the only one there. I'm manning the shop. This is like maybe a year and a half into this. I don't know that much about cars. Like I can change oil and brakes now, but
okay.
I know how to work the software, and I'm not going to steal anything. So I was trusted.
Yeah.
So this guy customer walks in, tells me what's going on. I'm like, oh, it sounds like you need this. Pull in his car, diagnose it, go back out to him. I'm like, yeah, we need this. This is how much it's going to cost. He's like, all right, do it. I go out, I order the parts, go out, do the work, come back in. He hands me the money.
And this is the first time this has happened.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay.
He hands me the money. I had done the work, and that was like a light bulb went off.
Okay.
Really, it was like probably 6 months later the light bulb went off, but I was like, I can do something for myself. Like I can provide value to somebody else.
Right.
Not contingent upon like somebody else being in charge of me to do so. Like I don't necessarily, like there's potential at least. I saw the potential. I was like, I could do my own thing. Mm-hmm. And the seed was planted there. So before the Marines, I'm totally like just on the authority track. Whatever they say goes. In the Marines, I'm like, it's like, I don't know. Like, seems like some people who are older than me might be stupider than me. That's what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
I'm much more compassionate now, and then coming out of the Marines and into the small business arena, I'm like people have needs, and there's this huge opening now for people to just provide value to other people.
In a million different kinds of ways.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In countless ways. I've fallen into the fitness track at this point, but even so, I'm still battling a lot of the old mindset, the authority mindset. I'm not 100% comfortable with not being told what to do.
Well, as a business owner, I feel like you need some kind of guidance, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and yeah. So one of the things that I struggled with was like when I became really passionate about Freeflow in the gym, and I rebranded it, and started trying to come up with a mission statement and all these things. I was like, I've got this. Like there was this phase of like a year and a half, 2 years. I was like, I know exactly what needs to be done.
And how long before you didn't have that feeling?
Oh man, I was talking about this with my wife the other day, and actually it may have been like yesterday, but I was just kind of thinking through it, and I was like, I think that period was necessary because there was a lot of energy, there was a lot of progress, there was a lot of like lessons learned in that phase. I trusted in, like inadvertently trusted in my own resilience, and I was just like, this is the way I'm going to do it. I just kind of ran with it. Got beat up, and then eventually I got beat down.
Okay.
And I realized more recently, probably like in the past 6 to 8 months, I was like, holy cow, like I don't know what I'm doing. I have some idea, obviously.
Right.
Like I'm at least able to earn people's trust. I'm at least like I have enough skill in the fitness arena to provide value and affect people's lives in a way that will get them to, or change lives, and they're willing to pay me for it. So I was like, okay, there's a chance I can make a living at this, but I realized like in terms of building a business, like that's a whole different thing. Like that's a skill set in itself.
So now you're in the position of authority.
Right.
And now the tables have turned.
I'm like, oh, maybe those guys weren't
Yeah. So I think the big key word I want to take out of that was resilience. I think when most people, as far as I've seen my past year in behind civilian lines, is there's the people that accept authority and they want to go along with it, no questions asked, and that's fine. That's not for everybody. And then there's the people who are in authority that never listen to anybody else, and that's also not good.
Right.
And I believe your resilience will spark the ability to acknowledge maybe the places where you need help, but also be able to communicate to others that may be in a similar position to help them through those places also. So you become the authority of not knowing.
Right.
And that's a pretty powerful place to be.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of what, because I've always been pretty honest about people. Like, I've only been doing this X number of years. I know this, but I know I don't know this.
Right.
Like, it's a process of like, the people that come to the gym are people that I'm willing to tell, like, hey, I don't know everything. I know I can get you to this point. If you want to go past that, I've got some referrals.
Right. Yeah.
But this is what I do. This is what I'm good at. This is why I do what I do. And this has all been like, so one of the major revelations I've had recently is at one point in that kind of like passion streak where I just kind of went headlong into everything, I thought that it was necessary to kind of pin down my why and my mission and make it like this static thing that would just always be no matter what.
That's great.
I mean, I hear that.
That's
like,
perfect.
yeah, the stuff I hear, they're like, the motivational speakers, whatever. I was taking in a lot of that content at one point. They're like, you got to know your why. Like, you got to be able to talk about this. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know my why. And so, yeah, just kind of like arbitrarily grasp at things. Like, this makes sense right now, but it kind of like changes as things go on. And then I realized that it's so much more of a process. Like, finding your why, you kind of find your why along the way. But you have to, for me at least, I have to pick something and run with it and see what happens. And then based on what happens, do I like this? Do I not like this? Am I getting the results I'm looking for? Does this feel right? It's kind of like more intuitive questions. From there, I can start to kind of chip away at what's important to me and what's not.
Well, let's dive into that. So what is right now? I can tell it's always evolving, which is powerful. But right now, what's your mission? would you say?
Yeah, so I told you before this, we launched this 6-week challenge thing. Before that, so there's a lot of marketing that went into that. A lot of people came in the gym. That's the most leads I've ever had at one time.
Right.
The only other time I had this feeling I'm about to describe, was when I first started interacting with people in the gym. So a lot of new people are coming in. Honestly, I'm anxious. I don't know what they're going to think of the place. I don't know what they're going to think of me. Like,
okay. All right, so we're still recording. Still good to go. Part 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think it's maybe 7.
Might be 7. All right.
So, yeah, finding and refining that sense of purpose. That sounds better.
Yeah. Go ahead and talk like you would.
Refining that sense of purpose. It was a process. So, process of trial and error, a little bit, constructing, deconstructing, and experiencing new things, and then integrating those experiences into what I did know, what I knew as an authority on something. So it's like a process of becoming. But for so long I was caught up in like all the stuff I was listening to and reading was like, you got to set goals,
right?
You got to have lists and stuff written down, you got to know your why, you got to know your mission, all this stuff. And I was kind of, I think, in a panic mode because I didn't, and it made me very insecure.
And when was this?
12 months.
12 months ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roundabout. I mean, it's been the process of the past, I would say, 2 years. And then my perspective has really started to shift, I think, since I started listening to Jordan Peterson and reading his book and those things. He gets into describing the process of becoming a valuable individual as a result of being a person who has contributed to what exists. Because I had this epiphany at one point, like this world we live in was built by the endeavors and the sacrifices of a lot of generations before us.
Oh yeah, hands down, for sure.
And when I was younger, when I was coming into my questioning phase, I was thinking I knew better. I was thinking like, we need to chop this tree down and grow a new one. Type of thing.
Yeah.
And as I've matured and taken a little bit more time to reflect, I've realized like, no, this whole business thing is only possible because someone put the system, the freedoms, the laws, the social structure in place for me to even be able to have a business in the first place. Mm-hmm. Like, be able to branch out on my own and try and contribute in my own way. And so it's foolish. It's completely foolish of me to try and disregard those who have come before me, or even those who are currently doing what I'm doing better than me.
Right.
Because I was resistant to like business coaching and stuff for a while too, which is silly because I'm a coach.
Yeah, it's really odd that you kind of have that perspective of I can do it all by myself, but yet your mantra is to have people come to you for the physical aspect.
Yeah.
And well, not just physical. I mean, obviously working out has a lot of mental
it does, yeah.
Positive properties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking, or I was preaching, you need a community, and meanwhile I'm like over here in the corner trying to do my own lone wolf thing, like. And I'm realizing that now, and the behavioral changes don't happen immediately, but that was a big light bulb that went off for me, because now I understand. Now I'm more responsive to coaching. Now I'm like, okay, I have a problem with taking people's money. Like, that's a big deal as a business owner. I feel like a lot of us are taught having too much money or taking too much money from other people in terms of how you value yourself is a negative thing. And the first seed that was planted was like, well, there was times when I ran programs and I didn't charge much, or I didn't charge anything, and people didn't value them.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you don't hold valuable what you have, why would anyone else?
Right. And yeah, so that just becomes frustrating. Like, I'm pouring my heart and soul into this, and nobody cares.
Right.
Like and I'm not making the impact I want to make. And then, as I've progressed as a business owner, like understanding kind of the, I don't know if metrics is the right word, but like, business has different environments, and we're in a very wealthy area here in Williamson County. And so for me to be the cheapest in town may not be the best thing.
Right. People may have a different mindset of what is valued or what is viewed as quality.
Right. If I'm the cheapest in town and I've got this rinky-dink facility and like we're like this hole-in-the-wall gym, when we've got, Iron Tribe and Lifetime and
Lifetime Fitness, yeah. That place, it's expensive.
Yeah. But people go there and people pay for it, and they don't get half of what some people would get from us. Like, we're not for everybody, I know that, but in terms of what people are willing to pay, like my perspective is very skewed. Mm-hmm. And so coming to terms with that reality of, the different dynamics of business and being able to wear different hats and, stand in different people's shoes, make the sales, turn around and coach, turn around and sweep the floors and clean the bathrooms and just kind of do whatever it takes. It was like, it took me learning to respect what I had because of what I was given. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You had all these opportunities given to you, presented to you, that otherwise would not have been without people who have come before.
Yeah, and
set all this up.
But I think the reason this is such a big deal to me is because I spent so long thinking I knew better and thinking I could do things better than they were being done.
And hopefully you can.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose is acknowledging, like, this is how it's been done. Okay. Question why, verify, trust but verify the process. And if you can find a better way, why would you not do it? Is it not irresponsible to not do it a better way? Mm-hmm. And for myself and in my business, I've learned what I have is very, very valuable. And I'm sure similar to you, it's not for everyone though. Not everyone wants to be on that level. Not everyone wants to commit to something. Not everyone wants to, insert reason here. However, even though we believe it's for everyone and it would help everyone, you have to come to terms and focus on the people who it is helping and the impacts it is making. Because that's going to be much more, the value measured there is going to be much greater than the value lost with everyone else.
Right. Yeah, and that was another big epiphany I had when we actually hired this marketing company to help us drive some leads in. Before that, when somebody left the gym, like, I have relationships with everybody at the gym, like some form or fashion of a friendship. Some of them I hang out with outside the gym, even though they're clients. And so when somebody left the gym, I mean, it literally, emotionally, it just felt like a friend, like a close friend rejected me. And I was like, oh God, like, not only was there that implication, but then I'm like, the financial implication, like, they're leaving the gym, like, we're losing a person.
Right.
And I had no concept at the time of, we can get more people in here. And in reality, as a business, there should be a flow of people.
Correct. Yeah.
And a good friend of mine, Chris Vrooman, who's he's a business coach, as well as like just kind of he's a leadership business mentor, coach person.
Great guy.
Yeah, he does private, or what do you call it? Gosh, consulting. He does consulting now.
Okay.
In that arena. He was gracious enough to sit down and talk with me, and he was like, look, he told me, and this was big for me, he's like, the goal shouldn't be to get people in permanently. He's like, the goal is, anytime somebody sets foot in here, they should leave better than they arrived. Sorry.
That's all that matters.
Right. Like, am I teaching? Am I living if I'm living my purpose, people are going to come and go. That's just the way it is. Am I creating the question for me is, am I creating a community that gets consistent results and is, I say making a name, but, making a difference, making an impact? And what is that impact, and is it positive? And being able to constantly reevaluate that in a way that allows it to expand. And so that's because I listen to, if you get into, whether you're into the fitness world or not, Ben Bergeron, is a great guy to follow, phenomenal leader, but he's and he's much older, and I realize this is part of that process, like becoming somebody like Ben Bergeron or Jordan Peterson or, Joe Rogan or somebody like that. They have statutes that they live by. Certain things that just don't change, but it's taking them into their 40s, 50s, 60s to develop these things. Like, it takes life experience.
I want it now. It's today that matters. Don't you understand?
Right.
Yeah. That instant satisfaction that I'm driving towards every single day, it does not come overnight, and it's frustrating.
It's maddening.
But how beautiful it will be when we do get there.
Yeah. And then, at the end of the day, it's like, do you believe in what you're doing enough that you won't give up?
Oh, yeah.
And are you willing to let go of enough that what you're doing can evolve into what it needs to be?
And that's what I was about to say. What sacrifices, whether financial, time-wise, relationship-wise, are you willing to make? Do you have to watch that next season of Game of Thrones? I know I do personally. That's different.
Different rules for different people.
Yeah, different rules, different people. But in reality, like, if somebody saw my life day to day, they'd be, so why do you have a TV? Oh, yeah, I have a TV so I can throw up my work on the TV while I'm on my computer, so I have two different things going on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you're crazy. Well, it's crazy. I'd rather work harder right now and impact more lives right now, and then build that business, like you said.
Yeah.
It's going to take 5, 10, 15, maybe my entire life. But at the end of the day, and you nailed it on the head, I'm happy with what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to quit.
Yeah. Are you happy with what you're doing today? Yeah, because Peterson at one point talks about it too. He's like, when you first start setting goals for yourself and you're kind of like casting a vision into the future, he points out, you have no idea what you're doing. He's like, you have no idea what this goal is going to look like in 10 years.
Right.
And he says it's incredibly foolish to try and hang on to what that goal was just for the sake of what it was. Like, if you want to be the entrepreneur who spends his elder years, whatever, drinking margaritas on the beach, he's like, that's great, but it's not, because at that point you're not contributing, you're not doing what you love to do. It sounds good. It sounds like retirement, like what we've been taught. But at the end of the day, people find a meaning in being contributors. And
there's a statistic on that too, right? People who contribute longer to society live a lot longer, especially in men. Yeah, men who work longer in their lives exponentially live longer, actually.
That doesn't surprise me.
I don't have the stats up on my TV right now because I'm in your gym, but
yeah, but that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a driving force, and I think if you slow down too much when you get older,
like, where's your purpose goes away.
Exactly.
You freaking drink yourself to death on the beach.
If I'm lucky. Give me another drink. No, and you're right though. In my world, funny enough, out of every single individual or clients, families that I've sat down with, I have yet to hear somebody say, I want to be filthy rich. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Every single person or family says, we want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of calling it, comfortable wealth.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? And it's the realization that I, for some reason, coming into this industry, I thought people would be like, oh yeah, we're going to call you, you'll make a lot of money. Like, that's kind of, what I thought.
Yeah.
But when I came into the system.
Yeah.
And now that I'm in the system, I'm realizing it's not about that at all. It's about the goals. The goals that my clients have for 30 years from now, they're not going to have the same goals. They're not going to have that dollar amount that they need at that point. And so it's about, just like you said, what are you doing today? How are you maximizing it? And are you enjoying what you're doing? Because odds are, if you don't change it, you're going to be doing it when you're 70 also.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about the psychology of behavior, just through reading and listening to stuff, but also, like, it's a biological thing.
How so?
Motivation is a biological thing.
Okay.
So knowing your why is important because, like, the simplest way I think I can put it is, we as human beings, we need that sense of progress. So even if it's what I thought was like, I have to lock down what's going to be the most important thing for the rest of my life in order for it to be meaningful, which is not true at all.
Right.
it's important for people to be a part of a system, an existing system, where they can feel like they're making progress and or a difference for themselves or for other people, because biologically that causes, whatever, the creation of mainly dopamine, I think, is the main hormone. But dopamine is the one that, like, in the hunter-gatherer, from the hunter-gatherer genetic programming we have, when you're hunting for something and you find a clue, you find something that says, okay, you're going the right way.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Dopamine's released.
Yeah, that's Barney style. That's perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now you're willing to keep going. Now you're willing to, like, bad weather's rolling in, like, it's okay, I'm close.
Right.
Or it's okay, I'm making progress.
And if you're with the team, you're like, hey, guys.
Oh, yeah, even more so.
Yeah. Hey, keep going, keep looking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The person who tunes into that the most is the one who usually can drive the pack forward. The people who can see progress where others can't tend to be the leaders.
And there's always the person in the back saying, you're going the wrong way.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah. We'll let them talk.
Yeah.
Every now and then I've been that guy. I've been guilty of it myself, and sometimes I'm glad that I was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. The complainers, what we were talking about earlier.
Right. Yeah.
People who are just they don't contribute, and they don't believe in what's going on, and they are not willing to do anything about it themselves.
Right. I complain. I mean, I'm complaining about complaining right now. So there's the irony in that. But at the same time, I reach a point, and my dad taught me this. Son, you can complain all you want, but what are you going to do about it? And there's a difference between complaining and problem solving. And
right.
That's where I'm very blessed to have people around me, especially my family, my older brothers were. It was a rough childhood, I'll put it that way, but I enjoyed being corrected, quote unquote corrected, growing up, and so that's definitely played a big role into the authority, mindset throughout my life. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, so behavioral psychology, on another note, in terms of the why, like I tell people too, in terms of being someone who's driven, the more clear your why and your purpose and mission and whatever becomes, the more clear your sense of progress becomes, the more driven you are. Mm-hmm. But changing your behavior is actually not something that is it's not a positive thing to try and force it. Real simple example is what I experience in here a lot with people is their attempt to change what they're eating. Mm-hmm. Yo-yo dieting. You try to change too much at one time, and then you end up swinging back the other way. A lot of people, they jump on keto or paleo or low carb or whatever. They jump on some diet. They overhaul their entire habitual eating process, and then it lasts for a week or two, like 2 to 3 being like pretty good. And then they swing back the other way. They gain more weight than they had, and they're eating nothing but pizza and drinking beer all the time, and they're depressed. Right. And then they think something's wrong with them. This is just a human thing that happens. If you try to change too much at once, like that's just what happens. You swing back the other way. And this is like I can't talk about the hormones. I've read about them in various books, but it has to do with your hormones. Like you're not in control of it. You're not in control of your behavior as much as you think you are. And so making change in your life, and I'm speaking from experience, like it has to be incremental.
Okay.
And so I've realized like it's a matter of accepting I am where I am who I am. These are the first step is looking at like these are the things I do day in and day out. Why do I do those things? I see a psychiatrist at the VA. I've been seeing a resident psychiatrist for like 7 years since I got out, pretty much. It's a very enlightening process to go through therapy because you get to just like the first they cycle through, so I get a new one every year. But the first guy I had told me, he's like, the basic process of therapy is you're an intelligent individual. You have your own answers. I'm not here to give you answers. And I was like, this is exactly what I need.
Yeah.
I was like, this is perfect. And so they just let me talk, and I talk my way through things, and I'm like, as I'm talking, I'm like, oh, this is why I'm doing this particular thing and why I haven't been inclined to change it. Usually it's some sort of protective, emotional defense mechanism from who knows, some event way back when, I don't know, trauma or whatever. I'm trying to protect myself from something usually is what inhibits a behavioral change. Should I give an example? Try to think of an example. Well, I mean, like the money is a great example.
Okay.
My impression growing up was that in order to make money, I had to work harder.
Oh man, yeah, and that's same here. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to
It's not true at all.
No, money is like its own kind of entity thing. It's kind of like, I don't know what to compare it to. It's kind of its own thing, I guess. But
It's kind of like money.
It's kind of like money. Yep. Money is its own thing, and money, according in its relationship with people and with human beings, behaves a certain way.
Right.
There's rules to its behavior, and so if you learn the rules to its behavior, you can make more money.
Rules of the game.
Yeah, learn the rules of the game. Whereas I thought oh no, my bank account's getting low. I need to go find another job, or I need to work more hours.
Yeah. When you start equating your income to your money, that's what's changed my life of money 180 degrees the past year. And I'm going to give you a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've read it, but if you haven't, I'll buy it for you, let you read it.
Yeah, I've heard of it many times.
Yeah, I'm sorry, continue on, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad addresses that exact same thing that we both have.
Yeah. Where did that come from?
Talking about money equals income.
Money equals income.
So
before that.
So you wanted to work harder?
Oh yeah, limiting beliefs is what I guess what we're getting at.
Okay.
Yeah. Impressions that we develop early on, because I mean they show now the science of psychology, whatever, shows our worldview is pretty much set by 5 to 7 years. 5 to 7. Early. Yeah.
That's pretty early.
Really early. And so we have an idea about ourselves and our relationship to the world by the time we're 5 to 7 years old. And that stays with us up until a certain point. For some people it stays with them until they die. But if you're fortunate enough to get into somewhere like discipline, I think is what starts to help us change our beliefs. So something like CrossFit, something like therapy, something
military
the military, something like martial arts or a sport of some kind where you're part of something bigger than yourself.
Okay.
In a healthy way. Not all these things are always healthy, but you start to realize you can make just the sense of making progress is what will kind of drive you through those beliefs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know if that's where I wanted to go with that, but that's where we went.
Well, sometimes the road, we don't know where it's going to take us forward. Right.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes in life I'm on this dark road with the headlights on, and every now and then the headlights go off, and I'm like, well, I guess we're getting keep on driving.
Just stay with the lines.
Yeah,
just look at the lines. But yeah, I mean, I guess kind of what I've been working through is just these ideas we've been talking about. I've realized I've had limiting beliefs. I've realized one of those limiting beliefs was that highly critical side of me that thought I knew better. And realizing that, somebody else grew this tree that we live in. I'm just on a branch.
Right.
And, from this branch, maybe I can drop some new seeds, but really a whole new, the best thing that could happen is that a whole new tree is going to grow up somewhere else.
That's a really good analogy. It
may happen, it may not. That would be an awesome legacy to leave. I'm going to do my best to do it. And that's all I can do because, in the grand scheme of things, look at what's been built and look at who you are in relationship to that. This whatever this America thing is incredible.
It's amazing.
We make our mistakes, but not all those mistakes are within all of our control.
Right.
We do what we can, and we try to make things better from where we're sitting, what our position is. And that's it. Like, that's all you can do.
I feel like we have to try to take care of our branch, take care of the leaves on our branch.
That's it. Yeah. That's like somebody had a quote. It's like, if everybody cleaned their own doorstep, the whole world would be clean. It's that simple.
That makes it sound really simple. Hashtag clean your front doorstep. I guess we should start that.
Sure. Yeah. Sweep your front porch.
All right. Well, we're almost at an hour now, and so I did ask you to go ahead and do what's trying to have in each episode is the Red, White, and Blue Falcon Awards.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Red Falcon Award is someone or an organization that you want to give credit to, or the cool kids call it the props.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to call it props.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your thoughts on that? Who should that award go to for you in your life right now?
Man, I hate to say this because it would seem so cliche and almost like self-admonishing, but CrossFit has been incredible for me.
Okay.
And looking at kind of the way the creator of CrossFit, Greg Glassman, has done things, he's not perfect, but he looked at what was, he built on what was, and then from that, he's started to grow a new tree, so to speak. He's kind of waged war on some things, things that are, he believes, very corrupt. Like, he follows his own beliefs. I'm not much of a war wager, but that wasn't his focus in the beginning. His focus was trying to find what got the best results for the people he was in direct contact with.
Right, which is all you can do.
Right, and it exploded exponentially.
Right.
Somewhat beyond his control. And like I said, they've made mistakes. They've paid what needed to be paid, and the CrossFit now has a tremendous amount of influence in the fitness and health arena, and I think it's only going to grow. But
I've heard, if somebody is a vegan, does CrossFit, or watches Game of Thrones, you'll hear about it.
That's it.
That's it. I'm kidding, but honestly, CrossFit is it's not for everybody, but it could be. And it's
the phrase we use is anybody can do it, but it's not for everybody.
There you go. I completely agree. And your coaching, I saw one of your clients here earlier.
He's an animal.
I feel I was kind of embarrassed to walk in here with a shirt on. So I see the product, and you're doing great things.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. What is the White Falcon Award? Sorry.
Describe that one to me again.
So the White Falcon Award is kind of the albino, like the funny story or the whoops story.
Oh gosh.
Can't believe that happened story.
Can I use myself?
Of course you can. Please, I'm sure the audience would love for you to use yourself.
I bought a house.
Okay.
So I'll go into a little more detail. I bought a house because a whole bunch of people told me to. I wasn't ready for a house.
Okay.
So I moved into this house, and I hate this house.
Oh no, and you already bought it.
It was like, prices are going up, whatever. You're going to have equity and blah, blah, blah.
That typical mantra.
Yeah, and they're like, instead of putting money into rent, you're putting it into a mortgage that you'll own. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. And I bought a house, and now I got to mow the grass and do the yard work, and I got to fix everything in the freaking house.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the bank owns part of it too.
So I could just let it go, right?
No, I know you're not going to do that. All right. Well, how about the Blue Falcon Award?
Oh gosh!
Don't be that guy / girl.
What we've been talking about. Don't be that guy who just complains.
Okay, fair enough.
Don't be that guy who just complains. Complain. Fine. Get it off your chest. In a maybe a productive way, maybe not. I don't know. I go to therapy, so I have that outlet. But get a therapist. Get it off your chest. But then, what are you going to do about it? Ask yourself that. Is there anything you can do about it? If there's not, move on to the next thing. Don't just people don't come in my gym spreading spreading negative vibes.
Well,
we never talk down to people. We might complain about what we're doing, but we're going to do it.
But it's fun too. It's
fun.
in a fun way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's in a positive way. Like, this sucks, but we're the guys who do the sucky things. Kind of thing. That was in the military too.
There you go. Embrace the suck.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I am going to give a quick shout out to CrossFit Freeflow Gym. If you're in the Nashville area, I'll be sure to tag a link in the description of this gym. Check it out. Any comments on that, Josh?
Come find us.
Some days feel like we are running an endless race. Got to keep stepping up just to keep up with the pace. It's unbelievable how far from childhood days, sitting by the riverbanks, tossing stones and dreams. You were born to win, and which way your life will turn, it's always up to you. For you were born to lead, and which way life will turn, it's always up to you. The naysayers used to be the order of the day. By the morning light, they disappear without confidence. It's unreachable until you make it out there. Nothing comes easy, so much pain to gain. You were born to win. But which way your life will turn, it's always up to you. For you were born to lead. Which way your life will turn, it's always up to you. No second chance is gonna come each and every day. You got to take your time, make your time to be there. It's inconceivable that you fail. You take your shot, now you know your worth. Like a vision when it's clear, we have a mission to undertake. If we have to seize the day, then we will be on our way. For you were born to win. Which way your life will turn, it's always up to you. For you were born to lead. Which way our life will turn, it's always up to you. You gotta be starting something right now. You gotta be starting something right now. You gotta be starting something right now. Always up to you. You gotta be starting something right now. You gotta be starting something right now. You gotta be starting something right now. Always up to you. For you were born to win. Which way life will turn, it's always up to you. You were born to lead. Which way your life will turn, it's always up to you. Oh, you were born to win. Which way your life will turn, you know it's always up to you. You were born to lead. Which way your life will turn, it's always up to you. You were born to win. Which way your life It's always up to you.